All right, now let's talk about the Protect IP Act, something that we've covered extensively here on this show. And it's about as alarming a piece of legislation as there is when it comes to your rights on the Internet. Now, the first version of this bill was approved by the Senate Judiciary Committee back in May. And in the Senate version of the intellectual property protection, the DOJ would utilize court orders to shut down any websites that are engaging in copyright infringement. The bill also calls on Internet service providers to block any incoming traffic to those offending websites. So as you can imagine, those that have been paying attention to the legislation have voiced their concerns. A lot of them. People are saying that it gives the government far too much power to blacklist websites and that it's revived the once defunct notion of an Internet death penalty. In fact, a group of 90 law professors wrote a letter to Congress calling this measure Internet censorship, a ban on First Amendment rights, and even they put the U.S. government a step closer to aligning itself with oppressive regimes. So now, despite all of that criticism, which we've covered before on this show, now two members of the House of Representatives are planning on introducing their own version of the Protect IP Act. Bob Goodlatte and Lamar Smith's version of the intellectual property legislation would include all of the elements of the Senate version, but it has a few more disturbing additions. So this new version will hold sites that host user-generated content accountable for its users' infringement. Now, when I say sites that host user-generated content, I mean Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, basically any other site where a user can get an account. So it was bad enough legislation when they were trying to hold ISPs responsible, but now they're trying to include websites in that category. An advocacy group, Demand Progress, has characterized the inclusion of websites as a potential violation of elements of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, a bill that protects ISPs and websites from being held responsible for user content. Now, there are two sides to the argument over the Protect IP Act. Those that are in favor of it, namely the RIAA and the MPAA, that say that this bill would shut down foreign sites that sell counterfeit or pirated materials. They also claim that it would save U.S. jobs by protecting them from cheaper foreign alternatives that people could pick up online. And as we've mentioned in the past, supporters of anti-piracy bills absolutely love to fearmonger the hell out of people, especially when they come up with ads like this. Now, thankfully, many people see through the flashy anti-piracy ads and bring up the larger issue at hand here. Is this bill a huge invasion of your First Amendment rights? Now, on Monday, the Consumer Electronics Association sent a letter to Congress asking them to hold off on signing this bill until they listen to all the concerns from opponents. They also said that the technology industry is leading America out of the recession, and inadvertent damage to the tech sector could not happen at a worse time. And they're right. If websites have to be worried about every user, those sites will inevitably be shut down. So who really benefits from this legislation? Other than Hollywood, I think it's really hard to say. So let's just hope that the opposition speaks loud enough to prevent this House version from passing.